Hello, and thank you for watching our video. I'm Sarah, and this is my colleague Laura. For those of you who don't know us, we are both return to work coaches. We both happen to have a background in HR, and we also are both mums. And so we have collaborated to produce a short series of 4 videos where we're hoping to share a little bit about what you might expect from a return to work coaching session and a few ideas for you to implement yourselves.
Great, thank you, Sarah. So like Sarah said, we're doing 4 videos in total. We've already done one, so if you've missed that one, we'll pop a little link in the description below so you can go and have a look at that one. And this is our second video, and we're going to be talking today a little bit about the conversations that might happen when before you're going on maternity leave. So this is for you if you are in that period of time before you've gone on maternity leave. It's also for you if you are managing somebody or supporting somebody who's going through this process, to give you some ideas of what they might be going through as well. So in this video, we're going to talk about typical coaching conversations that happen pre-maternity leave, and we're going to cover finding a buddy. We're going to cover using kit days and letting go. So we'll talk about that a bit more. So Sarah, do you want to sort of kick us off and talk a bit about finding a buddy?
Yes, great, thank you. So one of the things I often talk about with my clients at this point in our coaching conversation is when you're going off on maternity leave, often it can be a case of out of sight, out of mind. And particularly in this hybrid world, I think it's even more challenging. So the idea behind finding a buddy is to be a set of eyes and ears on the ground when you're not there. So an example could be if there's a really great project coming up, or a client piece, piece of client work, or even a promotion, or career or job opportunity. It's having somebody in the team or in the workplace who you've asked to be your buddy, your person, ears and eyes on the ground, who might just go, ooh, Sarah would be interested in that. And then you agree with that person how you might keep in touch and the sorts of things that you might want to hear about. What's your experience, Laura? Have you come across this with your clients?
Yeah, definitely. I think I would add into that as well, that it may or may not be somebody who has gone through the maternity process themselves as well, because it might be helpful to have somebody who has already been through this, either with this organisation or with another, to sort of give you that heads up to this is what you might expect, but someone who understands your situation. But yeah, absolutely, exactly everything you were saying, of just having that contact that isn't your line manager and isn't HR, of a friendly person that you can be in touch with. And I think that does so much just for maintaining that relationship and that good feeling about work as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
it's just sort of enabling you to keep some form of a presence in the workplace without actually being there, whilst you're focusing on your family.
Yeah, and not missing things. And that kind of leads us quite nicely then into kit days as well. So again, if I just start off thinking about kit days, so these are, if you don't know, these are 10 days that you are given as an allowance to take whilst you're on maternity leave. There's no sort of, there's nothing to say that you have to use these days. And there's nothing, I don't think anyway, unless you correct me, Sarah, but I don't think there's anything that says that they have to be paid at a certain rate. But I think that the done thing is that your organisation will pay the days at your normal rate, and it won't affect your statutory maternity pay, and it won't end your maternity leave either. But they're really good ways, again, of helping you to think through, like, what's it going to look like when you do get back into work? And I know that this video is about sort of pre-maternity leave, but it's good to be thinking about this, because in terms of planning, there might be things coming up that are training days, or there might be team events happening that you could use these kit days for if you want to, and just to have those booked in. Personally, I recommend doing kit days, because I just think even if you don't take the full 10, it's a great way to keep in your mind, like, how will it actually feel when I do come back into work? What, we can't imagine every possible scenario. So actually having that as a sort of dry run, if you like, and also thinking about, how do I feel about leaving my child, and how's childcare going to work, and what's the commute looking like now, or that kind of thing. So
yeah, absolutely. And I've had some clients who've kind of thought, no, I'm not going to use them. And I always say, if you can, obviously you don't have to, but if you can, really think about how they might be valuable to you. And actually I often encourage women to think a bit creatively, because usually you have well, it depends on your organisation, obviously. So you'll have your paid maternity, however long that is. And then obviously go on to the statutory, which is pretty minimal. And so for some people, they are able to add on annual leave that they've accrued whilst they're on maternity leave. But in between those two times, you can actually think about how you used your keeping in touch days, as you say, because they're paid. And so, yes, team strategy days, a practice run for going into the office, even just a day from home, catching up on some emails or reading some documents. But yeah, thinking about it at this stage, thinking ahead to your return might sound a bit crazy, but there's no harm in starting to look ahead now and thinking about how might I use those keeping in touch days to help me sort of dip my toe back in the work water, if you like.
I think also, any planning that you could do at this stage, given that there's going to be a lot of unknowns, might be quite useful as well.
Yeah. And as we're thinking about before going on maternity, the model that I often share with my clients is a model by a guy called William Bridges, and we can put a link in the comments for this, but essentially he talks about change. And so I always use my hands. I'm often doing my coaching, as I'm sure you are, online. And so I say, okay, so right now we're in your current state. So you're currently still at work, kind of on the countdown to starting your maternity leave. And what is going to happen, or what needs to happen, is you need to defrost from this current state and move and refreeze in your future state, right? And the future state is, I'm going to be full-time at home on maternity leave. And that's quite a big change. And the reason I share this model is it's this bit here, which is what I talk about, is the defrosting from my current state. I've got to let go. I have to let go and defrost in order to move to this future state. And there are so many times I find myself doing a coaching session with a pregnant mum who's a week or 2 weeks out from starting her maternity leave, and she's still absolutely up to here in work, projects, deals, as if she's not going anywhere. And it's really tough, but we have to start thinking about, what do I need to do to let go of work, let go of projects, let go of deals, whatever your job is, so that I can actually free myself up to make this shift, make this transition. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And I think that's sort of strange bit in the middle, isn't it? Because I guess thinking about unfreezing into a new state, and then it's possible that then also there's going to be an unfreezing from that state to move into another. So it's that, I really like that bit about letting go, of just knowing that there are going to be some uncertainties. And I think that is really difficult for maybe I shouldn't say that, but for women in particular, where we like to have everything under control, we like to know what's going to happen where. And I use a different model with the locus of control, of just thinking of, what's in my control, what's out of my control, what can I influence? Because I think if this is your first pregnancy, your first child, my experience certainly was that there was so much that I couldn't have expected happening. So I think it's almost that, preparing for the unknown, which is so difficult to do, but just allowing yourself to even believe like there are going to be things that I don't know what to expect here. Yeah. And I think also touching on that, accepting that there's no right or wrong way, like the way that you do it will be the right way for you, and just leaning into that as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There is no one size fits all when it comes to this. It's all about figuring out your own version of it, isn't it? And that really is where coaching can be so powerful, because, again, come back to my mum, who's, last couple of weeks of work before maternity leave, usually you're running around quite frantically, wanting to get stuff ready at home, thinking about, have I got a cot built, have I got a car seat, have I got nappies, whatever, but also wanting to get everything neatly tidied up, with a bow, so that you can hand it over to someone at work. And the reality is, that's unlikely to happen. And I always say, touch wood, that baby could come tonight. So you now need to be in that mindset of, really, I've got to be letting go, thinking about what I can let go of, who I can delegate things to, questioning, should I be on that call? Should I be in that meeting? Could someone else step in for me? So you're really starting to step back in those last few weeks at work.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to that?
No, I think the only other thing was just, you know, often I find, and again, you know, everyone's different, but typically this is going to be the first time, particularly for first-time mums, that they will have stepped off that kind of career ladder, if you like. I mean, some people, you know, will take a year out or have a gap year or whatever, but often that's, you know, quite a long time behind them. And if you sort of think, we've worked really, really hard in my career for so long, this is the first time you're actually sort of stepping off and kind of pausing for a period of time. And that is quite difficult to kind of comprehend and allow yourself to do that, which again is this letting go part, is thinking about, how do I give myself permission actually to let go of work and focus on my family fully and, you know, wholly, and not allow myself to be kind of being pulled back into work, whether that's through emails or, you know, WhatsApp chats or whatever it could be.
Yeah, and I have to add in there, if that's what you want, because there are people who will want, you know, who will want that as well. So I think it's that, isn't it? It's sort of recognizing, like, it's not necessarily about have to step away. It's more thinking like, what do I want to be happening, and what am I putting in place now to make sure that happens, whatever that is. Yeah,
brilliant. And I use the idea of going to a bubble, right? So I'm going to choose a bubble I'm going to pop into when the baby comes out, and I choose how long I'm in that bubble for. Yeah. It might be a month, it might be 3 months, it might be 6 or 9, 12 months, that I'm in that bubble and I don't really want to have anything to do with work. And it's entirely up to you how you manage that, if you do that, and for how long.
Yeah. Oh, right. Lovely. Yeah, well, thank you very much for watching this video. Like I said, we are doing a series of videos. We've already done one, which we'll put the link to in the description below. And there's 2 more videos coming, and they're going to cover what happens on the actual period of maternity leave, and also thinking about that crux moment of when you're returning to work, what's going on then. And like I say, we're trying to do this in a way to sort of share typical things that we encounter. It's not to say these are the only things that we encounter. I also was just thinking, you know, if there's anything as you're watching this, if you think, oh, I'd really find it helpful if there was a video on a topic, please let us know. Pop it in the comments below, and if we can, we'll include that in maybe a future video as well. And if you want any more information about either of us or how we might support you, we'll put a link to our websites and our social media channels below.
Great. Thanks very much, and we'll look forward to seeing you in our next video.
Thank you. Bye.